I really like seasonal donuts. There's a coffee shop down the street from where I live that has a new seasonal donut every few months, and finding out which new strange variety they have is always an exciting event for me. I also had an obsession with limited run Pop-Tarts. For years, I made it a point to try every single new flavor of Pop-Tart. Small batch products, seasonal editions, or otherwise limited run items speak to my lizard brain in a deep way. Combine that concept with my love for video games, and I bring you today's review for Night Trap on the GBA, the single most superfluous purchase that I have ever made, one I am very glad exists purely for novelty value, and a product I absolutely cannot recommend to anyone. Last year, Limited Run Games ran an April Fool's Day campaign for a GBA edition of Night Trap, the infamous full-motion video game that was cited during a 1993 Senate committee meeting as a reason for needing a video games rating board. The ESRP was created in response to that hearing, and the rest is history. For those that don't know, Night Trap was originally released on the Sega CD and tells the story of a group of teenagers trapped in a house with a bunch of vampires, called augurs here, and it's your job as a government agent to monitor video feeds and trap the augurs within the house using their own dastardly traps, saving the teenagers from becoming supper. Today, Night Trap is more remembered for its controversy than it is for its actual gameplay or story. A 20th anniversary edition was released a few years ago, and it's a fun relic of the time, and a fascinating glimpse into the era of moral panic called the early 90s. Night Trap on the GBA isn't actually Night Trap the game, just to be clear. It's a highly compressed, nearly unwatchable, completely non-interactive video of most of Night Trap. The original Night Trap contained a few endings and different clips based on whether you trapped the augurs or the augurs caught the teenagers. The version of the story you get on GBA is the bad version, meaning all of the teenagers get caught by the augurs and you get the bad ending. There are also some strange shot omissions too, like a close-up on Sarah's green eyes that's missing entirely. I watched a full playthrough of the 20th anniversary edition of Night Trap for comparison, and indeed there are some missing shots. But let's back way up. In the early 2000s, someone had the baffling idea to compress full movies and television shows in order to cram them onto GBA carts. And they're fascinating. Like any good media player, the GBA video carts allowed you to fast forward, rewind, and pause the video. Night Trap, on the other hand, decided those features were too much of a hassle to implement. So instead of the standard fast forward, rewind, and pause, you get fast forward and restart video. Yep, there's no way to pause or rewind. Night Trap on the GBA is broken up into 5 parts. When you start the game, you're dumped directly onto a menu with parts 1 through 5. Logically, once you're finished watching part 1, it should kick you back to the menu so you can choose part 2 and keep watching, right? Nope. Instead, it restarts part 1 from the beginning. So you must be thinking, there's obviously a button that brings you back to the main menu so you can choose part 2 and continue the story, right? Yeah, there is, and it's called the on-off switch. You have to completely turn off the system and restart the game in order to choose another part to watch. That means in order to watch Night Trap all the way through, which is roughly 45 minutes in total, you have to reset your GBA 5 times. That's insanity. So how's the video quality? Come on, what do you expect? It looks like mud. The video seems to flicker in and out of quality too, so a few frames might be crystal clear, and then it'll turn back into a blurry mess. Thankfully, the characters are all wearing distinct enough clothing to be able to tell them apart, but if you're looking for details, you won't find them here. Now, this all sounds like the worst thing ever, right? And don't get me wrong, it absolutely is. But I also love it. Night Trap was an oddity when it came out, and this is by far the oddest version of a very odd game. Night Trap somehow feels at home on the GBA. I've watched it all the way through twice now, and the compressed video has a strange charm to it. Night Trap on the GBA is a real product. A team of actual human beings made this. They got the license, they produced the carts, shipped the damn thing, and now I own the most niche of novelty items imaginable. And I can't be the only one that likes these things. Night Trap on the GBA makes me feel seen. Now, this might be a stretch, but as far as I know, this is the only time that a video-only format of Night Trap has been released. And I've read online that Night Trap doesn't actually have an official cut. Every compilation of the video scenes taken from the game and turned into a movie are dependent on an individual cutting them together based on which video feeds they decided to view at which time. So that means that since this is the first time Night Trap has ever been cut together officially, Night Trap on the GBA is the only officially released canon cut of Night Trap. This is how things actually went down that night. Does that mean it's time for a Night Trap sequel? If I were in charge of decision making over at Night Trap headquarters, I think the only right move here is to make Night Trap 2 a timed exclusive on the GBA. God willing, and that actually comes to fruition, I will be lining up day one, just as excited as I am for my next seasonal donut. I'm gonna give Night Trap on the GBA a Victor Martin out of 10. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be away for the next 2 weeks, but I'm working on a bigger video project in the meantime, and I hope you'll stick around for it. As always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time.